turns it into a barricade at a security checkpoint near the White House. If you know Washington, this is, they were saying 17th and E Streets, just outside, part of the layers of security. We're told the driver was immediately apprehended, and the car did not actually breach that particular security checkpoint. Police and fire units, they are there. They are checking that car. We've got a couple of voices here walking us through this. Jonathan Wackrow is with me, former Secret Service. And so we know that just within the last hour, we were listening to this joint news conference between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Australia, Malcolm Turnbull. And so when we know, Jonathan, the President is in the White House, how does that change protocol when something like this happens for Secret Service?
Again, this is something that the Secret Service agents and officers train for constantly. Attacks on the White House grounds happen, unfortunately, they're far too commonplace. But what we want to do is make sure that, so we're viewing this as a car rammed the gate, suspect apprehended. Were there any explosives in that car? Is there any other, what was the intent? Was this an accident where someone, just happened to drive into the gate, or was this intentional? So intent is going to be key here. Again, when you look at, the defenses of the White House, all the high-speed avenues of approach into the building, into the complex, are mitigated. So, this is something that, we have looked at time and time again. We look at this threat. It's been known to be out there. That's why they have very specific barricades and protocols in place to stop this. Now, was the president in any danger? Answer is no. Why? Because there are multi-layered defenses at the White House. Again, think about the concentric circles of protection, the closest circle being in and around the president. The White House, the condition at the White House, the security condition would have elevated to a certain level, and there are certain protocols that agents would have followed, but at no point in time would the president have been, relocated to a safe area or evacuated from the White House or anything like that for this type of situation.
Okay. Jonathan, stay with me again. We're looking at different pictures. This is all around the periphery of the White House. You see all this law enforcement keeping those streets clear as they assess the situation, go through this car. Josh Campbell, you're still with me, former FBI. Just describe the immediate area for me around the White House.
So I think if we look at pictures right now of 17th Street, I think one thing to keep in mind is you're seeing that those protocols in place where you have armed officers that have responded. They train for these every single day of the year. So you're seeing that those protocols in place. It is worth noting that, as you look down the pictures there down 17th to Constitution, traffic is moving. So at least at this point, it does not appear that there's a threat, anywhere beyond the location that you see right there on your screen. And then, also keeping in mind that we don't know what the motivation here was, but you also, potentially have a traffic accident, right, that officers have to work here. So just because you see the streets closed there doesn't necessarily mean that there's a threat. You see them turning around traffic there on your screen. But it is something that they're going to work, to determine what happened. And then also keep in mind that not only is the White House and that compound one of the most fortified locations in the country, it's also one of the most filmed locations in the country. So with each instance, you look back, determine what happened, how can you get better, and I think this will be one of those instances.
So listening to Jonathan a second ago, he made the point that we may not even really know yet. They are certainly trying to figure out if this was a driver who accidentally, you can see how close traffic is to some of these areas by the White House, if somebody would have accidentally hit a curb and appeared to be, trying to break through a barricade, or if this was intentional. How easy? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would just say that, if you look at the layout there, the geography of that White House compound, you do have the major, arteries that surround it, but off to the side streets, you'll have one way going either direction. So if there was any opportunity for someone to get moving at a high enough, velocity that they could, even if it's not physically possible, if they wanted to try to strike a barrier, it would be off one of those perpendicular streets. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I mean, we keep hearing E Street there, which takes you directly, one way to the White House. I haven't seen pictures of the vehicle yet. That would be very telling. Obviously, law enforcement is keeping everyone at a distance, but I think once we see those pictures, we might have a better idea of what we're working with. Is this someone who was, not paying attention and had to swerve at the last moment, or maybe they were actually attempting to breach that location? I think we'll still have to wait and see.
Agree, and I think the vehicle is key. So, Jonathan, let me ask you about the vehicle. Presumably, this vehicle is still somewhere near the White House grounds, where it would have tried to, either coming up around the curb or hit the barricade. Would it be Secret Service right now going through that car?